under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could we have a roll call, please?
Thayer,
Here.
Bamberg,
Here.
Govine, Hoffman, Betcher,
Here.
McNally,
Here.
Turnbull,
Here.
Flaker,
Here.
Hausen,
Here.
Baker.
Here.
Steve, I believe you wanted to.
Yeah, before Augie goes to special orders, there's a few people in the audience that I would like to recognize that's here today, so that all of you know who they are. Lisa Shaw, our deputy clerk, will be swearing in the appointments and the election of officers. Lisa, you want to stand? Also, we have Darlene Miller. She is our clerk. All of you know Darlene. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Lisa Bone. She is our new accounting supervisor, doing a great job for us. Welcome to the team, Lisa. And now I'm going to turn it over to Augie.
Did you want to give up and say a few words, Lisa?
I'm just kidding. We can have her do that in public.
Okay, we're on. At this time, we'll have a reappointment of members of the DDA Board.
I believe Lisa and I talked, she's going to do them all. That would be Roberta, Karen, Jeff, and Eugene. So do you want them up front?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
She's going to do all of you at one time. Thank you, Lisa.
Once we're done, I'll have you guys sign the paper and I'll give you a copy, okay? Please raise your right hand and say after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States
That I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the Downtown Development Authority Board
of the Downtown Development Authority Board
to expire on December 31st, 2018
to expire on December 31st, 2018,
for the Charter Township of Bridgeport,
for the Charter Township of Bridgeport,
County of Saginaw, and State of Michigan,
County of Saginaw, State of Michigan,
according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Congratulations.
That way.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa. All right, next we'll, next we'll move on to election of officers. At this point, we'll take nominations for the chair.
I'd like to nominate Jim Baker for chairman.
Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, Mr. Baker, will you accept the chair's position?
So I will.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
My acclamation. At this point in time,
Let's move on to nominations for vice chair. I'll nominate Karen Fisher for vice chair. Any other nominations? Any other nominations for vice chair? Any other nominations for vice chair? Augie, do we have to have a vote or can we do this by appointment?
You can just, by acclamation, there are no other nominations.
One, she accepts.
Do you accept?
I'd love to.
Okay. Do we hereby appointed vice chair? Secretary? Yes. Okay. Any nominations for secretary?
I nominate blue sweater guy over there.
What's his face?
Chair, we're gonna write it.
I
We're gonna write it
nominate
down.
Jeff.
Okay, any other nominations
Yeah.
for secretary? Any other nominations for secretary? Any other nominations for secretary? Do you accept the position of secretary, Jeff McCown?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, by proclamation, you are hereby appointed secretary. We have treasurer. Any nominations for treasurer?
Mr. Baker, I thought, and correct me if I'm wrong, I thought that it was secretary and treasurer combo, was it not, Jeff?
I think so.
It is, and
I'm
then
pretty sure.
Darryl was elected. Yeah, so it is a secretary, treasurer, and then Darryl was the one that looked at the invoices, I think, with Jeff. That's what my recollection was. So that would really be Jeff, if he accepts that.
So do you need to change my nomination?
Yes.
I think you need to change the nomination to say secretary treasurer for the minutes.
The nomination still changed? Do you accept the position of secretary treasurer? By proclamation, you are hereby secretary treasurer.
At this time, if we could have the three of you them come forward too, you need to be sworn in those. Lisa will do those again as a group.
I'm sorry, it's not.
Do this twice.
Okay, let's do this again. Raise your right hand, please. I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state,
and the Constitution of the state,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the Downtown Development Authority Board
of the Downtown Development Authority
to expire on December 31st, 2018.
to expire on December 31st, 2018.
15.
Oh, they have 18 on here. I
It'll
apologize.
be 15.
15.
1 year.
1 year appointment.
Sorry. For the Charter Township of Bridgeport,
For the Charter Township of Bridgeport,
County of Saginaw, and State of Michigan,
County of Saginaw, and State of Michigan.
according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Thanks, Lisa. Yeah, that's just a 1 year term. The four of you that were reappointed before you leave, there is your certificate here. You can take that and frame it, put it in your office, do whatever.
Do we have an approval for the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion been made and seconded to accept the agenda as presented. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Minutes from December 10th.
I'll make a motion we approve the minutes from December 10th, 2014, regular meeting.
Support?
Motion been made and seconded to approve the minutes of the December 10th, 2014 regular meeting. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. I have a request to be on the agenda. Are there any public comments? Any public comments twice? Any public comments 3 times? This hereby closes the public comments, as there are none. And we'll move on to new business. And Steve, what do we got on the 4800 Dixie Highway?
At our last meeting, I had informed all of you that Chris Psetas, he was the owner of 4800 Dixie Highway. He had called me and wanted to donate his piece of property there. That is a piece of property that butts right up to the Gable Gardens property, which the DDA owns. That has been closed. We now own that piece of property. We paid $89 for his tax bill and $10 for the deed transfer.
So total cost was $99?
That is correct.
Okay, any questions on that? Let's move on to land bank property. Taking the report on.
Yeah, the land bank property that I had mentioned at our last meeting also. Once Chris had contacted me, actually I got together with Jamie and we pulled this up on Saga. And that piece of property, as I mentioned, butted right up against the, and I gave all you copies of the Gable Gardens. There are 2 more lots on Dixie Highway, and there are 4 lots that were never developed on, or that street was never developed, Wiggen Street, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got a hold of Tom Miller from the County Land Bank, told him that we were interested in those pieces of property. Normally what they do, they sell those pieces of property. If somebody wants to obtain a piece of property, City of Saginaw, Bridgeport, wherever, $371 a lot. We bundle this. They are going to still remain as separate lots. We did bundle this as one parcel in the cost, and we got that for $300 and the $10 deed transfer. That has been all approved by Saginaw County and the Land Bank. Jamie sent out a check, I believe, today, or will be, for $300 plus the $10 for the deed transfer. So we now own that whole clump there, which is a little over 1.5 acres. Bigger than what Dollar General actually sits on right now. So I'm hoping to get something in the near future to go into that area. But we now own all of those properties.
The property of Gable Gardens, and these are all contiguous.
Correct.
And it is specifically the DDA, not the township that owns those?
Right, it is the DDA, yeah.
Because there was a question last time.
Yeah. So right now, as soon as they receive our money, then they will get the deeds to us on each of the properties. I had to fill out an application on every address and property tax ID number. So we'll get that, and that is in the process, and that will be done hopefully next week. We'll have all the deeds.
Okay, any more discussion on the Dixie Wiggen Road properties? discussion on that. Let's go to the Cass River cleanup request.
What that is, I believe it's every third or fourth year, I'm gonna have Bill Wheeler, our Parks and Rec Director, come up to the podium, please. It is our year this year, I believe, to start cleaning up the Cass River, and I'm gonna let Bill talk about that and ask for the request.
Super, thanks, Steve. Every year, the Cass River Greenway Association picks a segment of the river that goes from Bridgeport all the way up to Cass City. And they pick the section of river and go through, and a bunch of volunteers come out, 50 to 60 volunteers every year to clean up the river. And that was done, I believe, 4 years ago here in Bridgeport, and it's our turn again, so we'll go from the historic bridge all the way back up to Dixie Highway by the Hoffman site. So there's a grant out there that we applied for, and I'm looking to get matching funds from the DDA that helps with getting that grant. Only $500 is all I'm asking for. So, and that cleanup will take place in July when the water level is at the lowest, so we can see what's out there. So, I know they did it in upstream up in Caro area last year, and they took out like 80-some tires and all kinds of trash, and there's a washing machine that they got out of there, and that type of thing. So, that's all part of it. And the part of the grant is to purchase, gloves for the volunteers, dumpster, that type of stuff, that comes along with it. So,
What's the probability of the grant not going through?
they've gotten it every year that they've applied for it. So, actually, I'll be applying for it, so. And my idea is to get matching money to match what I'm asking for. I don't need a whole lot of money, because all we do is, like I said, the cost of the dumpster, gloves, we provide them breakfast and lunch, that type of thing to the volunteers. So a lot of that comes through donations through McDonald's and Tony Banana and stuff, so.
Are the volunteers covered by any kind of an insurance program?
Yeah, Cass River Greenway Association has their own insurance. Any other questions?
I have one. Do you think that we might be able to get the dumpster donated?
I'm gonna work on that.
Okay.
That's something that I'm working on,
So that could reduce that $500 need?
possibly. I have to submit the grant by January 26th, so I'm just looking to get money for the matching funds, and it's not gonna happen until July, so. My idea is, I have $1,000 in my budget, in the Parks and Recreation budget, but I've kind of budgeted for that. So if I get $500 from the DDA, then I got $1,500, and then I can request $1,500 in a grant, and that will cover everything. I don't foresee spending more than $3,000 for a river cleanup.
Okay.
Need a motion to it?
Yeah, we need a motion for that.
I would make a motion where we contribute $500 to Parks and Rec for the Cass River cleanup.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion on this? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Thank you, and if everybody wants to help, we always need more volunteers. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
That concludes our new business. Let's move on to old business. Steve, you had an update on the canoe launch?
Yeah, I'm actually gonna have Tanya talk about that. There's not a whole lot update. You know that we did receive the grant for, the canoe launch back here, Davis Park, but we did not receive it down at the Hoffman. So there was some tweaking that we have to do, and I'm just gonna let Tanya has worked, with Bill and myself on, how we're gonna tweak that. We're gonna apply for a different grant, right?
Same grant.
Or same
We're
grant?
just gonna tweak it so that, we fit it a little bit better, so. You want me to come up
Yeah.
here and talk? So the,
It's a lower, value grant though, right?
right,
Like
well,
50,000.
right, we'll just, yeah. Let's start. So we did the grant, 2 grants. One was awarded for the project back here. the difference in the scoring on the two grants, and I think we talked about this last month, was that this one falls in an urban district and the other one doesn't. And so there was a 30-point difference based on that. And the DNR, the trust fund program has been changing for the last 5 years. So this grant back here received 400 points. The one down there received 370. This year, everything 380 points and above was funded. And for the past 5 years, about 5 years ago, anything 290 and above was funded, and then that point value's been going up ever since. Last year it was, or this year it was 380, last year it was 360, the year before that it was about I think it was 340 or so, and then, 5 years ago about 290. And so, and what's happened and why that's happened is because the trust fund has capped out at its max, and now it just giving money off the proceeds. So they're giving less money, and sometimes there's a little more based on projects that were awarded but didn't get completed, and so, the money falls back into that. But I don't know, from a year-to-year basis what's gonna be given out. But what we do know is that for the last probably 10, 15, 20 years, that every project that has asked for $50,000 or less, regardless of score, has been funded. And so, talking with Steve and Bill a little bit, we decided that we would resubmit the grant, only ask for $50,000 with, a 99% guarantee, because they can change their mind on that, but I hope they don't, that they will fund that. His past history has shown that they have, and that we resubmit it. So that's, for the Hoffman site, we're gonna resubmit. For this one, we'll get started on the design and get that one going, so that we can get it designed and get our DEQ permits. And best case scenario, we would be probably constructing later in the fall, and worst case scenario would be early spring next year. We have surveyed both sites, topography survey, so we have that, and actually it was put on my desk probably about half an hour ago, just before I left, and I haven't had a chance to look at it. But they did get the survey done like last Friday and Monday, and then all that data's been put into our CAD system, so we're ready to get started on design.
Now, there's no more money available for the grant because the proceeds from the earnings in the fund that the grant comes from have eroded or maxed out, correct?
I'm not a financial person, so I'm probably the wrong person to ask on that, but it capped out at 500 million. I do know that much. And once it reached its caps, I don't know if anybody else, I think you can go online and study that a little bit more, but once it capped out, it gives off less money. And so, I don't know exactly how that works, but that's the long and short of it.
Now, with this $50,000, that if we do get this,
Yeah.
and the money that Bill, you around 100 and, what do you got, Bill?
At 120,000.
Bill's at 120,000. Will that take care of what we wanted to do down there, at the Hoffman property? Yes.
Bill would have to come up with the other 70.
Right.
And so, he may have to raise a little bit more money. I'm not sure where he's at, but yeah, I think he's comfortable with that, so. Right?
Yeah.
Am I speaking for you?
Yeah. Just so that the board knows, I'm still in the process of applying for monies through the Saginaw Community Foundation, Bay Community Foundation. I'm just waiting for people to get back to me on getting more grants. My wish, my dream would be apply for this DNR grant, but we may not even need it because I may already have the money. But it is gonna be a 2-year type project as opposed to everything happening all at once. And part of my plan with that is from the McNally Foundation and Anderson Foundation, they did their commitments over a 3-year period. So we're gonna have money coming for the next 3 years from those foundations to pay for the project. So it's not all gonna happen in 1 year, it's gonna be a 2-year project type thing. So as far as the matching funds, for that $50,000, I'm gonna have those. Those are already there. So but I'm still working to find more money.
If you get that $50,000 grant, you're really not short very much, are you?
No, no,
I mean, like, if I do my math, there's like $10,000.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, we're gonna be real close, so.
Yeah, he's not far off, and so, not an impossible dream or task.
And then that will, the money that was discussed to kind of repolish that up, Bill has that into his budget, and so we're not asking the DDA for anything like that. We're just keeping you updated that Bill and Tanya are gonna follow through with that grant and try and get that 50,000 so that we're closer to our goal. Right? So there's really no action from this board at all that needs to be done.
Thank you for the update on the Canoe Launch. Steve, you got an update on the Great Lakes Discovery Center?
I sure do.
About a week and a half ago, I called Jason Burnwell from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, who I've been dealing with since I took this position, a year and a half. He's no longer in that position. I go, oh, man. I get another guy's name, Steve Meiskens, who has taken over. I've talked to him 2 or 3 times. Jason is still with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, but this has not been put on the back burner for us. I just received, and I gave Tanya a copy, a letter here from Mike himself, and I'll just read the one paragraph. There is a boundary unfortunately, there is a boundary encroachment on track 526A, whatever that means. This track has a thin 50-foot wide strip that extends from the main part of the property on the south side. This strip is bounded on both sides of private residence, and most of the strip is being mowed as if it were their lawns. Fortunately, the stakes from the survey that Spicer did are still standing amidst the mowed grass. And this came from Steve himself, but this is Stephen Kale, who was the refuge manager for the National Wildlife. What that means is there is no encroachment, there's no houses sitting on it or anything like that. The people on each side of that 50-foot property that the township owns right now is being mowed and manicured by each of these residents. I have to just go out and visit these residents, and Tanya's gonna go with me with a disclaimer fee is what it's called. And they have to say that they have no claim, no right, no title, no lien, no interest in the above described properties, and this must be witnessed by 2 witnesses. So, to make a long story short, Tanya and I are going to go out to the 2 property owners and have them sign this. Hopefully it goes smooth, which it should. And then we get that back to the Steve from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife that I'm dealing with now. And in fact, I think Bill was in my office when I had asked him, I said, do you think we can get this thing done? It's on the docket, it's ready to close. Can we get it done within the next 6 months? And he said yes to me. So, but we've been hearing that for 18 years. But this, I believe, is the final. Is that what you're seeing, Tanya?
I think so, yeah.
There was no other, when we had to have them go out and restake and everything, they did not find any. It's our property, it's just that they're maintaining it and they're mowing it, and we have to go talk to them. Once that's done, I think I'm done, except wait for First American Title to call me up and go do another closing, and we have the property and put this thing to bed.
Who actually owns the 50-foot strip?
We do. Bridgeport Township owns it. It's part of the land exchange. But they've been maintaining it.
It's kind of an access piece that comes out to Sheridan Road, and then there's a triangular piece of property here, and then a residence down here. And so it goes between those 2 residences, and then the larger parcel is out, beyond that, but it sort of is a 50-foot strip plus or minus that runs between there for probably access.
So we don't really have to take any action, we just gotta go out, have them sign this, and let them know that, and I think most of them already know that there is a land exchange going for the Great Lakes Discovery Center in the far future, whatever, so.
The only encroachment that's going on is they're cutting the grass.
That is correct.
Tell them thanks.
Which most people wouldn't consider to be an encroachment, but it is the federal government, so, you know, I mean,
I'm sure you're gonna find out if they think they own that or not.
What happens if they don't sign it?
we cross that bridge when we get to it, so let's not hope that that happens.
Now, when you were doing your survey, did you talk to those residents by chance?
I don't think we did. Our surveyors typically just go out and survey, but, you know, I think mortgage surveys that they have to show that, if they claim that they own it, they're gonna have to prove that
Right.
they own it in some fashion.
And if there were stakes there and they didn't say anything, then you're probably good.
Right.
As soon as stakes go up, people usually
Start calling.
Yeah, I don't think you received any calls when
No.
the stakes went up, and usually they'd be,
Yeah.
what are you staking my yard for?
Right.
I don't think you got any of that.
If they did, because I'm only here a couple days a week, they would have probably came in to see Amanda, and then Amanda, I'm sure, would have had a conversation with Rose. Or Amanda, we talk every week when she's here. There's been no calls on that at all.
So you're fine.
Okay. Any further discussion on the Great Lakes Discovery Center? That concludes that, the business. Let's go on to beautification.
It would-
Steve, you were suggesting that at the last meeting, we do something about a subcommittee.
It was decided upon in the last 5 or 6 months. This has been going back and forth. So the beautification committee that has always been in Bridgeport for how many years is now dissolved. That is now going under the DDA, which everybody is aware of. And I'm actually taking the mail now for that. The rock consumer bill has been changed, the water bill has been changed into the DDA. And so what I'm proposing now is the time to select the committee. I'd like a committee right now. And the way it'll work is that subcommittee and I will work on anything that's going to pertain to beautification. And then we will bring that back to the board for a full vote and stuff like that. So I would like today if we can pick a committee. And I know it was brought up that I don't believe that the committee has to be everybody on the DDA board. Like Louise could still be on it if she wanted to, and John could be. Is that kind of what you're thinking too, Karen? Or does it have to be, it could be really anybody, right?
I understood there had to be a couple DBA.
Yes, there has to be a couple of DDA members, but if we get any involvement through the community that wants to participate, we could do that, but it has to be a couple of DDA members. I think it was 3. So I'm looking for a subcommittee right now. If we could select somebody to do that and somebody to kind of chair it, and then I just kind of facilitate, and then we bring back to the board. Because before you know it, spring will be here, and I don't want to be sitting here in March or April or May deciding on the committee. I'd like to do it today if possible.
Would you like to head up that committee?
Sure,
Okay?
sure.
Okay. Anyone else on the board want to participate in the committee?
So we have Karen and Roberta. Anybody else? Daryl? Yeah?
You said we need 3 from that?
Well, no, we can do the 2, but I think if we had 3, then it would be kind of a odd number, kind of.
If you were voting.
If you were voting on something.
Then you'd have an odd number.
Would the young lady that helped, Louise?
Louise.
Would she be interested in
those two would come underneath that kind of umbrella, but 3 should probably from the DDA board. They would just be like community people that are going to kind of help out.
Barry?
I don't think so.
I think Augie would make it great. I mean, I don't mean that. Augie's got a good idea.
Story, see, when we go to get flowers and stuff,
Yeah.
all I do is pull the wagon.
No, you supervised me that day. Get those 3 out there, okay?
I'll do it if it's not too much involved.
You're a good secretary, Jeff.
Jeff, I don't think there'll be that much involved, and if we have a meeting every 2 months or every month, even if you didn't make it, that's fine. Okay.
Yeah, Ron Bovine.
Okay, so we have Roberta, Karen, and Jeff. And I don't think we need to vote on anything.
That's good. Thank you.
Thank you, you guys.
Thank you for accepting this responsibility.
You're welcome.
Okay. Anything else on the beautification subcommittee? Let's move on to review of 4422 Williamson.
What that is at our last meeting, all of you got a copy, and I'm gonna have time to talk about that too. It was brought up, and I believe it's in the minutes, that you were going to try and apply for a DNR grant and also an MDOT grant.
Correct.
And that's what the board instructed her to do. If we could get 2, that would be really good, costing somewhere in the upwards of approximately $9,000. The one was $3,500, and the other one was going to be between $6,000 and $7,000.
Yeah.
And so Tanya did some research, and I'll let you talk about MDOT, what they told you and where we're gonna go.
Since our last meeting, I called MDOT, I called Sigrid Berglund, and I also called the MDOT TAP grant coordinator. And I kind of asked, would this, just kind of talking about applying for the MDOT grant and would it fit, and they thought no. And first of all, they said, is it on the historic register? And the building is not on the historic register. So that would be the first step, which is a lengthy process. And then the second thing, talked to Sigrid, who is the MDOT historian, and she worked with us on the historic bridge. She knows a lot about historical artifacts and structures. She said the most significant thing about that gas station building would have been the sign that was there, and that's gone. And then she looked at the current photos, she went on Google Earth and she looked at the current photo versus the photo from like the 1950s, and she said it has been so changed since then that anything of historical value is gone. And so she didn't think that it would even be eligible to be put on the historic register. So I think the MDOT grant piece of it is out, and I think we're at the DNR grant part of it, which is still doable. It just falls more under a Parks and Recreation facility rather than, a downtown facility. So the DNR grant is due April 1st. It will run parallel to the Canoe Launch grant that we're putting in, fall under the same category. So in a nutshell, that's it. So we took your $9,000 bill down to $3,500.
Now, is there somebody from the DNR that you've dealt with these grants that you can do the same thing? Or it will, what you're saying,
I think
since
the
it's gonna be under the
DNR
Parks and
grant,
Rec?
we can work it. The DNR doesn't have the same requirements as the MDOT does.
Okay.
So I think that, there's nobody I need to ask to say, is it eligible? It is eligible under the DNR. I know that from my experience. And it's just a matter of, I think it will score similar to how this Canoe Launch project scored back here. You're on the river, you have the natural resource, you're in the Saginaw Urban District, you're in the lower third income-wise, median household income, so I think all of those things play in the favor of that grant.
No action has to be taken on it because we've already approved her for spending the $3,500. And I appreciate you contacting MDOT so we didn't waste our money. So.
Right, yeah, and that's, yeah, we don't like to waste your
We don't have none to waste.
money.
Any more discussion
Go
on
with yes.
4422 Williamson? That completes our discussion today on that property. Let's talk about the I-75 billboard.
The billboard was supposed to go up on the 9th, which was, I believe, last Thursday or Friday. Rose and I attended, well, now I'm officially a vice chair of the Bridgeport Chamber, Bridgeport Chamber. So we went to the chamber meeting this morning, and I wanted to specifically look to see if it was up there, because I haven't been that way. But it was supposed to go up, but with the weather being so bad, they postponed it. It could be yet this week or next week. Schwartz Graphics has been in contact with the owner, the land property owner. I didn't have to do any of that. And also with Munchie. Munchie's the one that you all know that has the big bucket and stuff like that to go up, and he's actually going to do it. That was already built in that price. So, as soon as the weather breaks for these guys to get out and put it up, it should be going up. No further action on that either. Just look for it.
Okay, any more discussion on the billboard? That completes our discussion of the billboard. Let's talk about 6137 Dixie Highway.
That is the property right next to Rite Aid that was demolished, demoed for us. I found another sign in my office, DDA property with a phone number. Went out and put that sign out in the yard. You probably, Jim, you said you'd seen it out there. I don't have a price. I would bring it back to the board, or I would talk to Augie or Rose. We've got just a little under $20,000 on that as our investment. We paid $12,200 for it, and it was $7,300 to take down.
I never realized how much that building just was a drain on the community driving through there. Even though it's up in the trees and everything, but it's gone, and it's so much nicer, fresher going down through there.
So I just took it upon myself to put a sign out there, and if somebody calls, I'm just going to say, make us an offer. I mean, we have nothing to lose at this point. So, no further update on that. But yes, there is. I'm probably going to wait till springtime. I had talked to, I believe, Hans Launchwager, who lives right next door there. He said there is a couple of ash trees on that property. Not that they have to be taken down, but there's a couple, what's behind Rite Aid? Is it Rite Aid?
Isn't it a residence?
Hans was telling me there's a couple trees that look like they're bending, and they're either gonna, if they're not taken down, they could fall on Rite Aid or whatever is right there along there. So I'm thinking probably in the spring or something, we take a look at that, and we might have to take a few of those trees out if they're gonna be any detriment to destroying somebody's property, or if they just have to go. So I'll look at that in the
All right,
spring.
we'll take a look at that in the spring.
Yep.
Any more discussion on the location? That concludes our discussion of 6137 Dixie. Let's move on to Carpenter Plaza.
At our last meeting, we had talked about how that all worked, and I believe Augie also spoke on that. Was bundled. Township wanted the property. We got the property. Went into the township name. They got the deed for $10. I then went ahead and contacted Jan from First American Title. I closed on that last week. I think I gave that to Tracy. That Carpenter Plaza now belongs to the DDA. Our cost on that was $100 for the gentleman to get the paperwork and stuff ready, and $17 for the deed transfer. I believe we owe the township $10 for their deed transfer when they did it. So we got that property for $127. It is insured. Rose and I talked about that. Rose met with Norm Bamberger, and each building cost us $75. There's $50,000 of structural damage if it catches on fire, either one of them, and also there is liability insurance if somebody were to break in, get hurt, slip and fall up in the parking lot or whatever. So we have it all covered. So the Carpenter building now belongs to the DDA.
Good job on
Thank you.
that. Okay, any more discussion about Carpenter Plaza? That includes Carpenter Plaza discussion, and that includes old business. There is no closed session. And the coordinator's report.
I just got 3 items. John Hoffman came in yesterday and was at the counter and had asked if he could talk to me. And so I went down and I asked him if he'd like to go into an office and talk privately, and no, he just wanted to talk right there. We had a great conversation. In fact, Lisa and Jamie got teared up, but we had a really nice conversation. John resigned as of yesterday due to not only his health, but Betty's health. And I told him he's welcome to come to any of our meetings. I tried to get him on the positive side to stay strong, and if you're feeling good the following year, we got a board opening, we'd love to have you back. He's tough, he's a go-getter, but right now he's got to have a couple other things, cataracts and some other little things, but basically him and Betty are having some health issues, and he would like to take care of that stuff, and he doesn't have time to sit on the board anymore, or can no longer sit on the board. I did talk to Augie about it, and this is up to Augie, he's the township supervisor. My recommendation is not to replace John. That way then we have 9 on the board instead of 10, and it gives you your odd number. That would be something that the board would have to take action. Because with Ron, I'd take it down to 9. Only other 2 things I have is I want to thank Roberta and Sam for all the things that you do. Sometimes they go maybe unnoticed. The truck, getting the stuff ready for the holiday decorations, and helping Ruth Ann and her crew with that kind of stuff. Sometimes I don't think that some of us give acknowledge where acknowledge is due. And please let Sam know that not only on behalf of this board, the town board, we do appreciate everything that you guys do for us. And lastly, I am going to go to Florida, and I will be gone when we're having our next board meeting. I was going to ask the board if we could move the meeting to the 25th of February instead of the 14th or 15th, whatever it is. Unless you would just like to skip February meeting, but I still think even if we have a small agenda, it would be good to not get out of momentum and meet monthly. I believe I'm asking for this because it has to go out to residents or whoever, just so that we've informed them that it's gonna be on such and such a date. And I'm asking for you to reschedule that meeting to February 25th, which is a Wednesday, same time.
Comments?
I'm good. Yeah, we can do that this year, but just adjust the schedule for the year. It's probably a good idea to have that. By then, hopefully the beautification may have probably meet, and we know we're gonna be discussing the flowers and rods and that kind of stuff. Probably as soon as we're done with that, the better.
And that's all I have, Mr. Baker.
What's the date and moving the meeting?
To the 25th of
Okay.
February.
February DDA meeting will be on
The 25th,
Wednesday.
right, Wednesday, the 25th.
Wednesday.
And then we'll resume back to our normal in March.
Okay. That includes your input. Steve?
Yes, that includes it, thank you.
Okay. Member comments, Larry?
Don't have comments.
Okay. Augie? Darrell?
What's up?
Karen?
I have 2 spare tickets to tonight's chamber event. If anybody would like to go, I'd love to give them, so let me know.
Jeff?
What's?
Larry? I just want to comment again that I looked at this community over the last 10 years and it's made some phenomenal changes in the way it presents when you drive through communities and towns across this country. Bridgeport's looking really nice.
Yes, it is.
Okay, we took care of the next meeting. Have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Yep.
All in favor, aye? Aye. Adjourned.